Is it recording?
But we did.
We are recording. Hello, everybody.
What was our goal for this lesson?
To categorize the planets as either small and rocky or large and gaseous, and to try and accommodate for some of the ELL students that are in the class.
Okay, we had a wide range of ESL
Well,
in your
in
class.
this particular class, we have at least two that are in the lower proficiency range and one that is in the higher
In the
end.
higher range. Okay.
Okay, and two are Spanish and
And you said one of them didn't show up that day, which was that a low or a high?
That's
Did you have
kind of the middle one.
the middle one. So you had a low and a high represented in
Yes.
class.
correct.
Yes.
All right.
Correct. And the what Ann and I had done the night before is looked at the makeup of our class because it is about half and half of not only ELL but IEP, special ed, and regular ed students. And so we sat down, and then we have the two of us and Kathy Carter as an aide assistant in this classroom. And so what Ann and I did is sat down and broke it in, because the students were to do this activity sheet and use the computer and find the answers. Okay, so they were going to work in pairs. And so what we tried to do is, first of all, take our strong students and our weak students and try to pair them together as best we could. And then we took our two Spanish-speaking ELL, because Kier was not here. Oh, I shouldn't say his name. Sorry. Okay. All right. He was not here that day. So Ann worked with our low and our high Spanish speakers, and then Kathy Carter worked with our level 2 students, and then I roamed with the rest of the students. And we haven't discussed more than just briefly on how we think it went, but we think it went extremely well. The students worked together really well. Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask, like, to what extent you were able to do some of the things we talked about in our planning. Did you use pictures for scaffolding in support of your low students?
I'll let Ann handle the ELL students, because that's who you worked with directly. She's found this really cool way to help our brand new English speaker that doesn't speak English. I mean, very, very limited. But yeah.
Well, one of the things that we did is first semester we had another Spanish speaker in there that was just a slight bit ahead of her, and we had them sitting together. And so when we hit impasses, he knew enough that he could try and help get her back on track. And so we made a lot of adjustments as far as the expectations that were required, because she was trying to just overcome this big hurdle of everything sounded like she didn't know what it was. So, for example, one day this past week, we had watched a videotape, and she had some things that we were trying to work on, and she said to me, I don't understand the words in the videotape. So when I got everybody started, what we did then is I had her come and sit next to me, and I would listen for key points. We had her computer open, and I would type in the key points in English, and on the side was the translate. And as I was doing that, you'd see her say, oh. So you could see that because of it, it's not a perfect translation, but she was actually getting some of what was happening by just being able to do just some of the key points. So it was a little thing, but it made a difference. So she got something other than just watching pictures unfold in front of her. Right. So that helped.
So that's what you did here also then.
Well,
Tell them what you had figured out how to do for her.
If I can get, I know we're working to try and move her to become more English proficient, but she also needs those stepping stones in between. So I still have her do as much of the work as we can in class, but I adjust it. So if I have and know what we're working on the next day and have the opportunities, I will many times type it in to a Google Doc, share it with her, give her viewing rights, and she can make a copy of it. She looks at it in the translated version before class. Then when she comes in, she has at least an idea of where we're going with this. And then she needs that extra support to be able to try, because everything else is in English, try and get herself through that. So when I worked with the group that day, with the one young man and her, we talked through a lot of this. We had 4 websites that we were using, and one of them would be available in Spanish text and interpretation, and the other 3 were not. But we talked through things, and she was more than willing to work. That wasn't ever the issue. But she just needed to have a way to get there. So sometimes the other student would help me, and he would translate for her as far as some of the expectations. And then she was so excited that she was able to get some things down, because otherwise this is a lot of content that she just doesn't have any idea otherwise what we're talking about.
How do you think it affected the other student, the one who's helping?
Actually, for him, this was more of a leadership role for him, that he got to be in a position to be able to feel like he was actually helping her.
And the thing with
But
this
his
particular
behavior-
student is that he has a behavior issue
In every class.
in every class but ours.
But ours. Yep.
And so, but by giving him that responsibility, and that he knows he's helping us, his behavior is marvelous. I mean, we still have, but we don't deal, he gets kicked out of classes quite often, all over the building, and yet Ann and I have never seen his temper, his anger. He comes in, he does his work, he is polite, he works well. So, but this, I think, giving him this opportunity to be in that role, we've had other students that have translated for us, and they do find it difficult. We have one young lady that speaks Spanish but doesn't read it or write it, and so that makes it difficult for, she can sort of read it. If you can speak it, you can sort of read it, but
Oral.
but she was much more oral. But so she could translate things for us, but not as comfortable as our young man does. And he's a level 5 ELL student, and so it's been a wonderful match. I think that it's been really good for this young lady to be able to be in this particular class, that she is getting some content along with her working on her English. So that's an extremely difficult thing, is to throw somebody with no language into a science classroom. We have our own language, and that's hard.
You're saying it's a definite benefit for his behavior. Are you seeing better or more in-depth answers and stuff from him as far as the content? Is helping him with the content?
I don't know that he had problems with the content
Okay.
before. I wouldn't say that he's a brainiac by any means, but his
He will
level of
make an attempt.
understanding, he does, and he turns his work in now. At the beginning, we had a little problems with that, but he's been working on that more. So I think, yes, it's been a huge benefit. It makes him feel good. We have, again, we're looking at ELL on this. So
This young lady, though, in the last, let's see, what is today, Wednesday, in the last 2 days, many times I'll have her at least watch and try and listen, and then after the fact I can send her my notes, and then she can go back over and review those through her translation if she needs to. But she's getting to the point where now she sends me emails, and she'll say, do we need to complete all of these, or which numbers?
So she's writing sentences
writing-
like that?
They're very, they're not as structured as they need to be, but she's trying very hard to